Hopefully.
Sad when you're like really excited about winning with Andy.
Well, we need to make it to teach.
Yeah.
They beat it earlier. They won on Saturday now. Every game in the league, they won out this year. I mean, it's been, everybody's beating up on one another.
It's Auburn Saturday.
Alabama
No,
on the road.
that's right. No, whatever happened, are you going?
I'm going
That's right. That's me.
on accident.
Baby.
Okay, we're gonna, can't take do any action items, but we'll start the meeting. And we'll go through the section reports and hopefully somewhere in there we'll end up a form. So we'll start with you, Cynthia.
Okay, good morning.
Wait, just a second.
Wanted to start out with our partners, our federal partners, HUD and EEOC. We have been keeping in contact with them. We still have reviews with them. As you probably would expect, both HUD and EEOC have informed us. HUD has said that our partnership grant funds are on hold. And EEOC has said that the training funds that they normally give us yearly to do outreach is currently on hold, and we probably won't get that this year. I think we kind of expected that. Agency personnel, we do still have 3 vacant positions. I will let Cedric and Juan kind of give you an update. I believe Juan is finished with his interviews and he's made a decision on the hires. So they will give you an update on that. There are 18, your book says that there are 19 cases, but one book was released.
Stop. Ah,
After the book was released, we had a reconsideration for one of our employment cases. So the number of cases actually being submitted for closure are 18 instead of 19 cases. And
The reference should be January, not November.
yes. Yes, definitely. $11 employment cases, I'm sorry, 10 employment cases because we pulled one. 8 housing cases. And of the 10 employment cases, 6 were no probable cause, 2 were withdrawn with settlement, and 1 was withdrawn without settlement, and 1 was dismissed without prejudice. There were 8 housing cases, 5 were no probable cause, 1 was withdrawn with settlement, 1 was a conciliation, and 1 was an administrative closure. At the last commission meeting, I gave you a draft of the 2025 calendar year work plan. And I'd like to address any questions or concerns that you have for that work plan.
Any questions for commissioners on the plan? Okay, I'm gonna give you my copy. I marked up with
Okay.
several comments in terms of that. Take those under consideration. Be the easiest way to do it, instead of trying to go through all of them.
Okay. Thank you. We will have the final draft for you all at the next commission meeting or prior to the commission meeting. It'll be sent out to you. Wanted to let you know that we've been receiving or we have received flyers from Maysville, Kentucky, in which people are holding up the KKK and making comments. I included copies of those flyers in your book. We have had other calls about different situations. Even before January, we've been getting calls. So one of the things we're doing, staff is going to start, we started working on a toolkit, a civil rights toolkit. And the reason for this toolkit is because many people have told us that they think that we don't exist anymore because of the actions that are being taken federally. And so we want to make sure that people know that we are still here. We are still working. They still can file complaints. We're still investigating complaints. And so the toolkit will be distributed to mostly the local commissions and other civil rights partners and to the general public if they want it. And it basically will tell them who we are, what we do, and how to file a complaint. And it'll have a QR code and information that will refer them to our website so that they can file complaints if they wish to. We are, our Juan is also working on creating training opportunities for local commissions and the general public as it pertains to housing, employment, and public accommodation. We are working with our partners just to make sure that we are more visible and that we're seen. We partnered with the Metropolitan Housing Coalition to provide some information for them. We were at the Black History Month celebration at the state capitol. And we have been invited by the Louisville Metro Human Relations Commission to be a part of an appraisal bias discrimination panel hosted by Goodwill. And so we'll be doing that. Also, last Friday, Juan Pena, Cedric Irvin, Linda Stovall, and myself attended the Bishop's Table, and we will continue to be a part of that. In addition to the Bishop's Table, we are seeking other communities that have community groups and discussions so that we can be a part of that as well across the state.
Do you think it would be helpful if each commission would set up a meeting with their local commission and just take the toolkit and have like a question and answer to kind of go over about, to reiterate what the commission does and, you know, get the information out there, like I would set up a meeting in Paducah, Murray, Mayfield, my area or something like that. And if you all can travel to come join us when we set it up, if each commission would do it in their district or something like that. You know, get the word out.
That would be great. We don't have, if you're willing to do it,
Yes.
we're willing to partner with you to get that done.
To set up a meeting in the week.
Yes,
Like an informational,
yes.
I mean, would be that answer question to give out information. And possibly, if you all could, if you can't travel, put it on, have one of you all, if you could, online. If they want to address questions directly to you or someone.
And we would also like your assistance for if you know of other groups other than the local commissions, groups in which we can address the general public.
I have an invitation for you for the day of capital. Women's History Month to come to speak. As you did last year, possibly in Frankfurt, March 13th.
And the work plan contemplates having those sessions, having sessions with the human relation bodies around the state. Some you got dates already set,
We do.
That's correct.
They've already been planned.
so I think we could coordinate those two things together. would be good.
Does anyone have any questions about the report or?
I wanted to ask about the flyers, the KKK flyers. Is there an action that is underway to get that to cease and desist based on information on the flyers, or do we know how law enforcement is addressing that?
There, I'm not sure I understood. I heard what he said. I heard cease and desist.
I think about it, I think his question was regarding the commission doing something, taking some things there. Almost all of, I have not talked to the FBI local lately, but they do in fact collect that information. They have agents in the field. They do follow up investigations in regards to it. But that's as far as in terms of agencies out there, and they have the authority to in fact investigate hate groups and crimes like that. So I guess where that really falls more so than with us. I think our job is to get information out to the public in terms of what they should do when they find things like that.
And this was it occurred in Maysville, but it's someone in Lexington that forwarded this information to me. It was given to a high school student. It was distributed to high school students.
The CJ, the Courier Journal ran an article on this back when it first appeared on Maysville. So given that, I'm almost certain the FBI is engaged.
Thank
Can I
you.
ask you a question?
Yes, I was asking about law enforcement, really, so FBI. That's a good answer. I just think that if there is a way to be able to inform, you were mentioning earlier about people knowing that the commission is here. If there's a way to inform the general public that the commission is monitoring such activity and what we do know is being done by the FBI, or something to that effect, so that it allows them to see us engaged in this matter rather than just being on the sideline.
We will reach out and we'll make other efforts to make sure that they're aware that we want to receive this type of information, and we will forward it or take action as necessary.
I've got a couple of connections with the civil rights office and so I can reach out.
Commissioner Worth had a comment in the chat.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out, I'm not sure if it has reached the news in all levels of the state, but Cynthia, the same thing is happening in Hamilton County, Ohio, which is the county directly across the Ohio River from northern Kentucky. It's been in the news all week. There was a somewhat large group of neo-Nazis in Hamilton County in a traditionally black neighborhood in Evendale, one of the suburbs of Cincinnati, Evendale. And so that has raised a great number of red flags in this part of the Commonwealth as well.
About 10 years ago, the commission had a task force that included the FBI, the Kentucky State Police, and other local government enforcement agencies, just to keep a track and ensure that some of these incidents will not fall into track. So perhaps it's something that we can look into and maybe coordinate or a meeting once a year or twice a year, just make sure that we are connected, because I lost the contact with the API. I don't know anyone anymore because they rotate a lot.
Yeah,
to share
the
that.
office has gone undergone several changes.
Yes.
I'm sorry, are you all hearing us okay? Because we're having a little bit of trouble hearing you. Are you hearing us okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Be better now.
Yes.
That's better,
Mhm.
much better. Anything else on your report, Cynthia?
No, there's not.
Brandon, the budget and personnel.
Good morning. You have my report before you. I don't have anything specific to add, but I would love to have any questions you may have at this time.
Any questions on the budget from anyone? I have one, Brandon. Learn to looking at that person.
Sorry.
And looking at that person,
Okay, go ahead.
and looking at regular salaries and wages, and just looking at FY 25 versus 24, and we've been down in terms of unfilled, unfilled positions. Trying to figure out why we're above where we were a year ago.
Part of it's the 3% increase, and then for portions of the year we had higher staffing levels. So, but it would be the 3% increase. I would say overall.
Then I wasn't here for the January meeting, but reading the minutes, I'm down looking at rental. It was E 221. And I'm assuming that the difference there is we've been paying rent here. We paid for part of the downtown Broadway, and that's the reason for almost a tripling of where we were a year ago.
Yeah, and it was a timing issue also with the rent that we paid for the temporary space across the hall. I wasn't able to make those payments for a considerable amount of time because we didn't have a contract in place because we moved in haste. So it'll even out a little bit as the year goes along.
Any other budget personnel questions? None. Let's go to Santa in the mediation.
Good morning, everyone. As you see on the report, there's a long list of cases that had to be scheduled for mediation. That list has been whittled down to just 3, scheduling into May and June and even July. Since the last report, the report indicates that 2 cases have been resolved. They were both sex cases. One was sexual harassment and one discrimination based on sex. Since then, an additional case was resolved. That was a disability case. The 2 that indicate are pending are disability and public accommodations, and the other is employment race case. They are pending in that we've had a long mediation in each of those. Still going back and forth between the parties and hopefully they'll resolve. In addition to mediations, as Cynthia mentioned, the toolkit, I've enjoyed spending some time and putting together bill of civil rights curriculum. Enjoyed working on that. That's all.
Any question for Santa? Okay, hearing none, go to enforcement. Cedric.
Hello, I'm sorry I'm not with y'all today. I have a sick 1-year-old. So I am a little sorry. I don't have my notes with me. They are actually at the office, so I did not plan on actually not being there today. But yeah, I do have my report. We are interviewing. We are currently interviewing for the position of Enforcement Compliance Officer 1 position. So we are, no, not, you're not talking right now, it's me. Okay. So we are in there right now. I'm sorry, yeah, I'm a little distracted. But at the same time, do I have any questions? I'm sorry, I usually have, this is better set out, but yeah. No, not, no, shh. Go ahead, please.
Our times have changed.
Yeah, I stopped talking. Just, yeah, any questions? I don't have my notes or anything with me. So just any questions.
I think we have a future commissioner there.
Any questions for Cedric? Cedric, in our agreement requires a production goal of 40 cases for HUD. Nothing on here says how many have been submitted to date, if any.
I think we've had, so all cases have been submitted. I think we have like 20 or 21 that have been approved for payment. Going to that June, going to the June deadline, the end of June of this year. So I can get that to you, but I think it's 20 so far that have been paid for, which is half the contract so far.
Okay, you get a chance to get that to us so we know what's going on there.
Yes.
Then I guess my next question relates to the employment cases in terms of seems that the number of those cases seem to be increasing again. Is there any trend we're seeing or anything associated with that?
So some of the older cases, we are working on getting that down, but some of the older cases is the issue, and also they're getting slammed with more cases. So they are getting a lot of cases, which was typical, but they are getting hit with a lot of cases. So that's one thing, but also some of the older cases are still lingering.
But nothing, no particular trend that we're seeing in terms of the cases that are coming in that increase.
You mean as far as like disability or race or, like the actual basis?
The employment cases, employment.
He's saying, are you seeing a trend of the cases that are coming in, the increase of cases that are coming in or do you believe there's a reason for the increase of cases?
I think the intake department has been a lot more active and just getting us those for filing the inquiries. I think you all have just been a lot more productive in that.
I think I mentioned the last time that Cedric might be another enforcement officer to help with the complaint.
Correct.
We are putting a team together that we believe that we can be the best in the nation. So we're working hard on it. Thank you.
And that is one thing too, is what has the intake gets more people and they're more productive. That will increase caseload for us. We only have 6, and I talked about this before in a meeting maybe last year where we would need more investigators because we only have, right now we have 5, but we'll fully staffed have 6, and that's not enough really to take in the numbers. We're going to do the best we can, and we're going to get them cases out and investigated thoroughly and correctly. But number-wise, we will increase in cases with intake being more thorough and more staffed. And she agrees.
And I guess my next question is for both you and Juan. I guess I forwarded to Cynthia. I guess when I got somebody sent something to the NAACP relating to the incident at the amusement and recreation park on the
Trampoline park.
Trampoline park, in terms of, did they follow through and file a complaint?
I believe it's been filed, so it will be in the mediation department or unit.
Yeah, so yesterday's PJ had an article on it, and WFBL had run articles last week. Any other questions for Cedric? Okay, none. Let's move to Juan, education outreach intake.
Good morning, commissioners. You have my report. A couple of things I'd like to update. Last Thursday, I attended a meeting with the Richmond Human Rights Commission. They have not met for over a year right now. They have not had a quorum, but a Mayor Blight chaired the meeting, and they were full of energy, and I think they're back on track now. They're going to hold meetings every month, and they have requested additional training. So I will be going back there or doing the trainings online. So on October the 30th, 2024, the commission applied for a grant. This is the HUD FAF partnership grant. Well, we spoke with Ms. Alicia Kemp. She's our contact person with HUD. And she told us that the money is on hold, in other words, that we have not received it yet, so. Hopefully we get it, but again, for now, no, it's on hold. Also, in the past couple of years, the commission has received money from the EOC. And I checked with our contact person, Jeremy Sales. He said that money is not available. I guess last year we received about $3,000, so that's something. But this year it won't be that money there. The big news that I have is, as I have reported in my past couple of reports, that the unit has been interviewing and working hard to hire 2 more intake. Well, there are administrative specialists. Actually, they are about 75% of their time will be doing intake. But so I'm pleased to announce that we have 2 applicants have accepted or offered to these positions. And so Ms. Karen Cottrell, she's the current executive administrative specialist, will be joining the unit on March the 16th. So we're very happy to have her in the team. And also we have another person, Ms. Cara Smith. She's not currently working for the state government, but she's coming from outside. She's also accepted the position. So we're happy. So probably next month you have a chance to meet them or meet Ms. Smith, but Ms. Cottrell is here. So I'm very excited about it. I will take any questions that you may have.
Any questions? So Karen, gonna do 2 jobs now?
No.
Pretty much I already am.
She will temporarily, she's gonna help the transition, but right now she's right. She has been helping with intake quite a bit, but she will be helping in the transition. Once we start interviewing for the executive secretary position, she'll have them get trained and then she'll transition fully into the intake position.
But she has been doing a lot. She has written for housing charges and also employment charges. So she has, she's proficient or knowledgeable about the EOC and her database. That's a system that we use. Sometimes can be complicated, too many fields and know what to put in there. But I think she has learned it. So I'm very happy that we give me a break.
Okay. Thank you, Juan. Let's go to legal unit code.
Good morning, everyone. You have my report, and I'm happy to take any questions on that. I want to update the commissioners on some legislative movements. There's been 7 bills filed in the House and the Senate affecting KRS 344, and thus the work of the commission. Some are some frequent flyers that we've seen in the past, like the Crown Act and the Ban the Box Act. There's also, we've also seen this in the past before, adding the protected classes of sexual orientation and gender identity, as well as adding the protected class of weight. There are some new ones. Mental Health Counseling Act, which I learned of this morning, and I don't have a ton of detail on it yet. It prohibits discrimination against mental health care professionals, mental health care institutions, as well as ordained ministers who provide protected counseling services. There's also
what kind of protection comes with providing for them? Is it?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay.
Next month, I'll let you know. It hasn't advanced past the committee on committees, so we'll see where it goes. We've also got the Healthcare Heroes Recruitment and Retention Act, which provides certain healthcare workers with protections against workplace discrimination for declining to participate in certain procedures or activities that to which they have a moral objection or religious objection. And a final one related to employer mandated vaccinations. It would add a section to 344 to make it unlawful to require vaccines for those with sincerely held religious beliefs or if they be harmful to health. It seems redundant, I think we already have those protections, but I'll do a little more digging into that. It hasn't advanced past the Senate Committee on Committees. But those are the things that affect us. As they move or stall, I will be sure to update everyone in the months to come. But if there are any questions, I'm happy to take them. If not, that concludes my report.
And here's the three D.
Well, I searched 344, right, in the bill search. These are those that affect 344 specifically.
But if
I
there's
think,
something-
Chair, I
Go
think
ahead.
one of the items that was just mentioned there, one of the dynamics might be extending so-called protections for conversion therapy and protecting certain institutions and religious counselors who want to utilize conversion therapy in the care of those who are dealing with same-sex attractions, even though in the mental health care field there's not one reputable group who sees conversion therapy as a serious intervention. So I have a feeling that that's one of the things that's afoot here. That certainly has been discussed at multiple child welfare meetings and at various mental health care meetings I've attended.
Computer. Sorry, give me about 30 seconds. Can you say something, Commissioner Worth?
Sorry, was that not coming through?
It was, but the computer crashed. So no, we'll have to go ahead with this computer.
Why don't you go ahead, Mr. Worthington? I think we heard the first part of what you said, but you broke up after that. You just go through it
I
again.
was just simply commenting about some of the legislation being proposed. That has some of those dynamics that I think was just being described were around protections for institutions and certain therapists who would like to have conversion therapy seen as a legitimate recourse for dealing with youth and individuals dealing with same-sex attractions, even though that approach has been discredited by so many reputable professional organizations throughout the country. So that has certainly come up in multiple child welfare agenda meetings I've attended and mental health care circles. So I think that might be the dynamic afoot with that legislation.
Commissioner Worth, I felt the same vibe as I heard that being read by Colt. So I was inclined to just ask you in the work that you are doing, what are you all sensing from the latest shift federally in the work with children as you're working?
Well, there's some major concerns, right? Because there's a disproportionate number of young people who identify as LGBTQ who find themselves in homeless shelters and in state's custody, out of home care, disproportionate to the number of overall LGBTQ people in the population. And what we've been seeing over the last couple of years is increased legislation that's making it more difficult to provide culturally competent care to those individuals. And that would include things like mandates from the legislators to school districts that if a child reveals in a counseling session with, for example, at my place at CHK, we provide school-based mental health care services to multiple public school districts throughout our portion of the northern bluegrass region. Well, there was proposed legislation at one point that any therapist who was discussing same-sex attraction or matters related to sexual orientation or gender identity could lose his or her license unless the parents had signed a permission slip ahead of time. The problem is, of course, is that a therapist has no idea what a young person might be bringing up ahead of time in a counseling session. And the other concern is that not every child would have supportive parents. I mean, after all, The reality that we are dealing with is there's a huge number of children in the custody of the state precisely because their parents are not supportive. They have experienced abuse and neglect, and there is a disproportionate effect for those young people who identify as LGBTQ in those kind of situations. So that's the dynamic that is being played out. And the situation that has been undertaken at the federal level in terms of demonizing certain groups, that can get translated very quickly at the school level. And so the concern has been about increases in school violence, and especially to members of the LGBTQ community and those young people who might be dealing with questions around same-sex attraction or gender identity. So that is a hot button topic for people in my industry right now, and we're paying a close attention to how that's playing out.
Thank you.
Okay, I guess under sort of committee reports, is just a follow-up, I guess, on the two things from the meeting in Hopkinsville in November. Doris, has your committee had a chance to meet or talk or anything?
After everything that has transpired, no, Cynthia and I did have a brief discussion, but we're gonna come back together now, regroup,
Okay.
especially with the changes in language and different things that are going on. So
Okay.
we are gonna be sorry about the voice getting older.
And back to you, Colt, we were gonna look at landlord tenant. I saw in the work plan, there was a reference to some things, but
In the work plan, the reference to Geralta was to just try to gather some folks that with the power to do something legislatively to enact statewide Geralta. As far as the research project goes, that has become a taller task, as you can imagine. It's difficult. I think we'd have to do that. I think we'd have to look at every single eviction filing across the state and see what the basis for the eviction was, whether or not it was a successful eviction, and then ultimately discover the race, gender, or other protected class, which is
I guess with the administrative office of the courts have collected any data, information that may be available.
I mean, I would think not, because on the petition for the eviction, there's no race or any other protected class identified on there. It's just name, address, cause for eviction. So I don't think there would be any record keeping with respect to that. But as we work together with one another, perhaps we will learn more about that, and I can report back.
Okay. Is there any additional business, any new business from anybody, or any issue anyone wants to bring up? No, all right. The next meeting is scheduled Thursday, March the 20th. Currently planned to be in here on the 20th. If there is nothing else, yes, Commissioner Smith.
I just wanted to commend you, Chair, on your appointment as president of the Louisville NAACP, I think, since we last saw you. It seems like there's a lot that you all are undertaking and continuing that legacy. So I just wanted to mention that. And I think it's in the climate in which we are existing right now. I have just been curious overall as to what we as a commission might need to anticipate, or what type, is there something coming down with all of this, that, and the other federally that we in the state will need to be more responsive to or anticipate? And as commissioners, I know that the staff is working, but I just was curious as to your thoughts on what the landscape is looking like and to what degree we should be preparing ourselves to be more of a voice, if at all, and if so, how?
You know, I think that there's no doubt there are difficult roads ahead in the area of civil rights in this country, in terms of where things are going. Even though the civil rights laws themselves have not changed and are not being impacted or affected by it, the rhetoric and the executive orders are leading folks to believe that suddenly all those protections have in fact disappeared. So I think one, it's incumbent on us to make certain that people understand the difference between a signed executive order and an enacted statute of law that's there in terms of what protections are in place. The other is, I think we got to begin to, when I asked Colt about the DEI bills, I don't think anybody has ever done an analysis of the DEI bills or the language in them as in terms of whether there's things in there that are adverse to statutes that are already on the books. And whether or not, in fact, you do some violation. Now, I give you just one example, and this is not necessarily for this organization, but Kentucky in 1991 and 92 adopted the Kentucky Education Reform Act, HERA, which was designed to improve and enhance elementary and secondary education in the state, and there were certain things that were provided. The federal had statute of No Child Left Behind said that you would educate every child to a full and complete education, so you have to do the things that are necessary. So to the extent that those bills withdraw from certain classes of people, those supports, conceivably you can make the argument that they're violating the existing statute. Whether that's going to go anywhere or not, I don't know, but that's one of the things, at least there's some consideration in terms of going on. And if nothing, but saying it and having legislators react to it may be very therapeutic in terms of their thinking and how they do things. So that's where we are. The silence around things the silence in terms of reacting to the things that are going on is so deafening in terms of nobody's doing anything. And so everybody sort of feels that they're powerless to do something. So I think one, again, we have to remain vigilant about informing folks from an education standpoint, what the civil rights laws in KR 344 does provide, what things it does, and then at the federal level, those things have not gone away. He revoked Lyndon Johnson's executive order that goes all the way back to 1968 in terms of doing it. So the executive order was only to bring about the enforcement of the statutes that were already on the books. And he can't revoke statutes unless he gets Congress to overturn it. So, that's where we are. And I think people have to be very much aware of that.
I think to your point, Chair, I'm at our annual accreditation meeting here in Florida now, and that was one of the things that was said yesterday, is to help people understand that very thing, but it is a communication need that lets people know that the process really has not been touched. There has to be Congress to do this or that. All the executive orders seem to be doing is setting a tone, which is in turn causing other people to react, businesses, corporations, etc. A second thing that I picked up on here is that while there is a talk of DEI, it seems like the current and new administration is open to framing things in a socioeconomic way. So low income, those types of things seem to pass through as a way of identifying what we might consider some of the same population. So that could be something to explore in our state government when we're looking at ways to work around the DEI discussion. If organizations could start framing things in the matter of socioeconomic levels, that brings in much maybe the same populations, and it seems to be something more workable from what I'm hearing.
Along those same lines is, they've frozen grant programs really across the board. They've frozen grant programs at Department of Agriculture, and there's a direct impact on farmers in the country who are now no longer getting grants and able to do something. I don't want to mischaracterize or characterize folks on, but some of those same folks who probably cast their vote for this are now on the receiving end of things that are adverse to them. And I think that as more of that comes to light, there may be, I won't say a lessening in terms of things taking place, but it will happen. To the extent they're messing with Social Security, messing with Social Security Office, the Commissioner of Social Security has now stepped down. And Musk is messing with the payment system in the Department of Treasury. So I think some of these recipients of Social Security miss a check. Things may very well change in terms of things. It's that reality. The other is, let's just talk about the immigrant population in this country. I thought the governor of California was very, very forthright back even before the administration went in when they were talking about all these mass deportation. And he was saying the state of California would crash economically because of the number of jobs in California held by immigrants working in there. And then the junior senator from Kentucky, last week or whatever, came out saying, well, we shouldn't be supporting mass deportation. What we need to do is, these people are workers, let them stay here, but just don't give them the vote. So, it's an environment, it's one that, we're gonna have to endure, but I think where there are opportunities to educate people or to point out adverse impact that may be disproportionate to any group of others, be able to do that, to hopefully in the process, educate people in terms of where they are. I guess I was reading a report yesterday that talked about all of the cuts that are being made at the federal level are being made. But when you look at all of the other policies that are planned for implementation, the budget deficit is going to swell rather than get smaller. And so all those individuals who thought they were going to get another tax increase tax decrease are not going to get that. And it seems to be that, as with the previous time they did a tax proposal, those at the higher end are the ones who get the benefit, and those sort of what I call the working poor continue to be working poor, carrying a heavier burden. So, but I think that's where we are, and I agree with you. It's a question of how you frame it and make certain you get it out into the public domain. Okay. Anything else from anyone, or anybody want to add anything to this? That wants his potato. Okay. Okay. Well, again, thank you all commissioners for being here. We said we didn't have a quorum, so it's not an official meeting, and we will see you in March. So thanks a lot.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Frank, I want to ask you, if your schedule allows, if you can come and speak, AKA, they talk about what you just kind of touched upon.
You can come to Frank.